Russellville High School, Dell Caldwell.
Good afternoon, everybody. So, as I begin, I'd like everyone to think for a second. When you were a child, what did you want to be when you grew up? I know that I wanted to be a dentist. Maybe you wanted to be the president, or an astronaut, or a race car driver. Or maybe for some of the educators in the room, you knew that you wanted to be teachers. According to a poll done by Zeti, which is a resume building and job hunting platform, most kids in America by far want to be doctors. Then come teachers, musicians, writers, artists, movie stars, creative jobs. Can't you just see them? 30 little 7-year-olds shouting at the top of their lungs what they want to be, how they want to change the world when they grow up by doing what they love. And of course, what do we tell these kids when they come to us with their starry eyes and big dreams? Follow your passions, we say, and everything will take care of itself. Do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life, right? But honestly, how much truth is there really to this idea? How consistently do we stick to it? Now, I'm not trying to say that every person who's ever told a little kid to follow their passions did so out of ill intent or to get that kid on the wrong track or anything like that. But really, how viable of an option is following your passion? America's top 20 childhood dream jobs tend to fall into one of two categories. Things like doctor, vet, architect, and even super spy, or secret agent, tend to fall into the money-making category. A wise choice for these young kids who will be making an average of $90,000 or more every single year. And then, in our other category, we have things like artist, writer, actor, or fashion designer. A group of careers that are affectionately referred to as pipe dreams. Passions that, by and large, don't create the stablest of incomes, even in the more successful situations. And this, the fact that these two categories even exist, the fact that they're acknowledged, the fact that I got a chuckle out of the audience when I labeled this category as a pipe dream, I believe that is indicative of a massive and still growing problem in society. A problem that can be addressed when we think about one question: what is valuable? Or better yet, what is value itself? Now, of course, there are 8 billion different ways to answer this question. Every single one of us has something different that we value, something that we see as important. But generally, I know what most of our initial answers are going to be: family, health, a general comfortable lifestyle. But think a little bit more concrete than that. What is it that, if someone had enough of it, would allow that person to do virtually anything at any time in any place? What is it that is needed to live that comfortable, carefree lifestyle that we all want? The answer, of course, is money. Money is valuable because that's exactly what it's there for. We need money to survive. It's valuable, very valuable to all of us, because without it, what else really matters? Now, that's not to say that money is the be-all or end-all to anything, or that money is the key to happiness. But also, be honest, it's a lot easier to be happy when you don't have to worry about money. The stress of not having money can destroy families, and it can destroy health, and it can most definitely destroy any idea of living that comfortable, carefree lifestyle. Who cares about working for passions if you're working for pennies, right? With that in mind, it's no wonder that 2/3, 67% of Americans, do not fulfill their childhood dreams. Of those people, 82% of them aren't chasing that dream at all in their adulthood, even though more than half of them still wish that they could. So what happened? Why did we stop chasing our dreams? When does the reality of the world set in? Well, probably at around 15 years old, when most teenagers are getting their first jobs, things like babysitting or mowing the lawn, when the focus shifts from following your dreams to whatever makes the most pocket change. And around that same time comes a newly and endlessly perpetuated cycle, a trap. Before most of us even have a driver's license, and before some of us have gotten our first paycheck, a rhetoric is shoved down our throats that we must go to college in order to be successful and find a good job. And this is where most dreams of working for passion truly get smothered. The average cost of college in America is $35,551 per student per year. Multiply that by 4, and you get $142,204 for a 4-year degree. Then take into account that the average 22-year-old makes around $36,000 a year, and we fall short. So instead of paying for it out of pocket, our 17 and 18-year-olds apply for student loans, and in doing so, are locking themselves in for a future of debt payment upon debt payment. This is the cycle that kills passion. Because by the time we get to this point, by the time we get to high school, by the time we're supposed to know better, when we tell our educators or our parents what we want to be, suddenly musician isn't an acceptable answer. Artist isn't an acceptable answer. Movie star isn't an acceptable answer. Be realistic, we're told. Don't we want to make money? Don't we know how hard it is to succeed in those industries? Don't we want to pay off our debt and retire someday? Now, I'm a recently graduated high school senior. I'm only 17 years old, thank you. And so I know firsthand how frustrating and how crushing this cycle and those questions can be. I've had my own journey with the idea of career versus passion. I briefly mentioned it at the beginning of this talk, but when I was a kid, my childhood dream was a little bit different than most other kids my age. When most preschoolers are still terrified of going to the dentist, at the ripe age of 4 years old, I decided that I was going to be one. And I'm sure that my dad and the rest of my family were pretty thrilled that I had picked such a well-paying career choice, and I stuck to my dentistry stint for a pretty long time. Until very recently, around sophomore year, when, along with a bit of a wake-up call from one of my teachers, I also realized that I did not quite like looking inside of people's mouths. And that will pretty solidly put someone off the path of dentistry, wouldn't you know it? But there was something that I did like looking at and learning about a lot more, and that was sharks. It's not going. There we go. That was sharks. I absolutely loved marine biology as a kid. I still do, especially when it comes to sharks. I love looking at them, I love learning about them, I love thinking about them. It's one of my passions. But I can already count myself as part of the percentage of Americans who do not follow a childhood dream. Why? Because marine biology is a very competitive field, a very high-risk field, and most of the time, low reward. This is one of the highest salaries that I was able to find for a shark biologist. By doing this, by telling our children nothing but follow your passion and everything will work out okay, we are setting them up inadvertently, and definitely not on purpose, but we are setting them up for a future of burnout and failure. We're filling them with ideals when they're young, rewarding their creativity and their ambition and that wonderful childlike passion, only to turn around when they reach high school and kind of treat them like they're idiots, when they're stupid enough to believe what we told them in the first place, to believe that all they have to do is follow that passion and everything will turn out okay. Now, of course, we're doing this to protect them, right? We all want our loved ones, and especially our children, to grow up and go into the big, scary world and be able to keep themselves afloat and be financially stable. So of course we have to tell them that they can't follow that path. Of course we have to tell them that they can't follow that dream, because it won't sustain them. Even though some things, even for things that are still valuable for human beings as a race. Because the things that used to be valuable to us just don't seem to be anymore. At least not monetarily. Things like education or art. If you ask pretty much anybody, they will agree. Art is very valuable. It's incredibly important for human beings as a whole. It's important for development. It's important for progression. And art is part of what makes us human. Creating and sharing those creations is what makes us human. That passion is what makes us human. Why then is it one of the lowest paying careers of the modern world? Why is it scoffed at as a career choice? And the funny thing is that art used to be very lucrative and high paying. Great creators of history like Michelangelo, Da Vinci, and Monet were sought after and paid well for their work because it was very valuable and society agreed. But to be an artist was to be secure. You were trained, you were housed and fed, and again, you were paid very well by governments, priests, and kings. To be an artist was to have a secure future and a big salary. No one had to choose between following that passion for art and money. No one had to choose between fulfillment or money. And no one should have to make that decision now. So where did we stop? Why did we stop? Why have we stripped the value from our values? And this journey that we've taken, where a long time ago we took a wrong turn away from creativity, is that the culmination of all of that is a simple and sad refusal. We are more developed and connected than ever before. We have the power, the technology, and the knowledge today to create machines and algorithms that will do all of the hard, monotonous work for us, so that we can free up our time and our money to support our passions, so that no one has to make a choice ever again and we can return to working for passion and being paid for it. But we refuse to. We can. And for some reason, we don't. Instead, we have this monoculture of working the 9 to 5, working in an office building sometimes so tall you can't even see the sun, grinding away to get to that top floor, chasing raises and bonuses just to get home or to the break room or to the office Christmas party and have nothing but complaints to think about. My back hurts. I'm so tired. I've never done anything so monotonous. 40 more years of this? It's no wonder that diagnoses of depression and other severe mental health disorders are nothing but on the rise in teenagers and adults as we push through those 40 years to maybe comfortably retire one day and hope that we have enough time by then to regain all of that lost time and truly pursue a passion. Now, I'm lucky enough to be able to say that I have a new interest that will put me in a well-paying, still developing, and stable field that I can work in and be fulfilled in, where I'll be paid well, enough to support myself, support my family, and any hobbies that I may pick up. I won't have to choose between fulfillment and wealth. How many of you can say the same? How many of you can say that you haven't made a trade like that already? And how many of you are comfortable with that answer? Thank you for your time.